If you're any sort of wrestling fan, at one point or another you've envisioned yourself winning the World Heavyweight Championship. We've all done it. Your brain transports you to a fake crowd of thousands of people and you win that coveted title in a moment you'll remember forever. Even though you're actually in your bedroom and in your pants. When you see a truly heartwarming celebration play out in real life though, it's hard not to be taken aback by it. It's like we all won, even though that's utterly not true and only the person in the ring can be described as the winner. I'm Simon from WhatCulture. This is the 10 best world title celebrations in WWE history. Number 10, Seth Rollins. The Architect gets double mentions here for two very iconic moments that both happened recently. The first, of course, is his debut World Championship win at Wrestlemania 31. Everything from the match that preceded it to his surprise arrival was just excellent, and seeing him at the top of that huge ramp as fireworks exploded was just tremendous. It didn't matter he was a heel, this was his moment. He also deserves mention for his celebration on the 24th of August 2015 Raw. While he wasn't being honoured for winning the title, he was having a statue bestowed upon him for his match-winning efforts against John Cena and still being the champ. Instead of said statue being revealed, however, it was Sting that was waiting under the draped curtain. Fans went nuts, Sting kicked ass, and it was one of those things you just never thought you'd see in the WWE. That's why I throw it in here. Number 9, Brock Lesnar. The feud between Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker in 2002 was bloody. I mean that literally too. There was so much blood, it was almost ridiculous. Even Paul Heyman got busted open just to get in on the action. During their Hell in a Cell match at No Mercy that year though, the Beast did away with the dead man after reversing a tombstone into an F5. It was what he did afterwards that cemented his image in fans' minds. Instead of just going up the ramp like most people would have done, Lesnar climbed the cage and hoisted the belt above his head. He looked like an absolute monster and, dare I say it, a conqueror. It was an amazing visual, even if it was a celebration following a title defense as opposed to a title win. Number 8, Bret Hart. WrestleMania 10 has got a rank as one of the best nights in Bret Hart's career. Not only did he open the show with a classic against Brother Owen, but he closed the night by defeating Yokozuna for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Good work, Hitman. As soon as he had pinned the big man to the mat, the babyface portion of the locker room emptied, lifted Bret up in the air, and paraded him around on their shoulders. Not only did it make Hart look like a massive star who had the respect of his peers, but it was just great to see the likes of Lex Luger and Razor Ramon walking around with the champ. It was made even better still, given that his brother Owen was stood in the aisle just glaring a hole through Bret's head. So basically, this had everything you could have wanted. Number 7, Stone Cold Steve Austin. The word best is an interesting one, but in this sense, I think we'll go with iconic instead. When Stone Cold Steve Austin went heel at WrestleMania 17, a lot of people thought it was a bad idea. In hindsight, they were absolutely right, but we can't be too mad about it. Without that turn, we would never have got Crazy Stone Cold. And I love Crazy Stone Cold. But the finish to the main event at arguably the best WrestleMania of all time is something that no wrestling fan will ever forget. After an incredible feud and even better match, Steve Austin beat The Rock to a bloody pulp to regain the WWE title and join forces with arch nemesis Vince McMahon. It was one of those moments when you're not 100% sure what you're seeing, and the fans that night cheered the Rattlesnake regardless, as they would have done given they were in his home state of Texas. But it's become a part of history, for better or worse. Number 6, CM Punk. Money in the Bank 2011 will be remembered forever because of how the show ended. With CM Punk's contract expiring, he was going after the WWE Championship. If he won, he would leave the company with the most prized possession in the game, even though he wasn't an employee anymore. Or should I say, independent contractor. Throw in that the pay-per-view just happened to take place in Chicago, which makes the whole scenario next to perfect, and it was a night that will never be forgotten, and nor should it. The icing on this cake came when the unthinkable did happen. Punk nailed John Cena with a GTS to win gold, and then took off through the crowd as an almost symbolic way to highlight the fact that he was indeed out of here. He even blew Vince McMahon a kiss as the chairman looked like he was about to cry. Number 5, Chris Benoit. Tainted now for obvious reasons, back at WrestleMania 20, this was considered one of the most heartwarming title wins in history. Chris Benoit had long been the people's wrestler, a man who gave his all to the sport without too much in rewards. When he finally won the big one in front of a Madison Square Garden crowd against Triple H and Shawn Michaels, it was like every disappointment and missed opportunity had been worth it, and it showed on the man's face. He was overwhelmed. His long friend Eddie Guerrero joining him just made it all the more sweet. It's hard to watch today knowing what we know, but at the time, many fans thought this was legendary. Number 4, Daniel Bryan. Seeing Daniel Bryan actually become the undisputed World Heavyweight Champion at WrestleMania 30 is still surreal today. The man had been through so much and his roller coaster ride to the top had become so ridiculous, it was an achievement and a half that he actually got to this point that always seemed destined to never happen. As you would imagine, the crowd was ecstatic for Bryan, but this was made even more impressive given earlier in the night they'd seen The Undertaker's WrestleMania streak get beaten by Brock Lesnar. It had taken the wind out of everyone's sails, and the only person who was ever going to get it back was Daniel Bryan. That's exactly what he did, and seeing 75,000 people all join in with the yes chant will give you goosebumps. Perfect. Number 3, Ric Flair. When Ric Flair entered at number 3 in the Royal Rumble 1992, forget about it. That was it. He wasn't going to win. He'd been screwed by the system and would have to try again. Or so you would have assumed. This is the Nature Boy though. He doesn't settle for second place. Putting in a performance of a lifetime and coming out on top, it was capped off wonderfully with one of the best post-title promos in history. Flair was always on point when it came to things like this, but hearing him talk passionately and directly about what he'd just been through was captivating. We didn't need big pyrotechnics or confetti from the rafters. Flair sold the whole thing using his words. It was excellent. Number 2, Mankind. Mick Foley was never meant to be WWE champion, or at least that's how it seemed anyway. Always the proverbial underdog, you'd have to have been a confident gambler to have put money on him, just never seemed on the cards. So when he beat The Rock for the gold on the 29th of December 1998, you can just imagine the crowd's reaction. Beloved by most, it was an absolute treat to see their hero coming out on top, and it certainly didn't hurt that this had been instigated by an interfering Stone Cold Steve Austin. Mankind's celebration was incredibly heartfelt, as you could see how much it meant to Foley. It was made even better when DX repeated the act from WrestleMania 10 and lifted him into the air. Everything was just right. Number 1. Eddie Guerrero. Eddie Guerrero's story of redemption is both inspiring and painful to relive in 2016. A man that went through dark times but managed to come out the other side of them. Getting to see Latino Heat win the WWE title at No Way Out 2004 was beautiful. Few gave him a chance before the bell, given he was going up against the Golden Boy Brock Lesnar, but an interruption by Goldberg, a DDT on the belt, and, of course, Eddie's patented frog splash were enough to mark Guerrero's first run as the man. Everything from this point on was just magic. The fans were utterly euphoric, his happiness practically fell off his face, and he engaged his mother in an emotional embrace. He then finished it all off by standing on the announcer's table with the title in one hand and a Mexican flag in the other. No wonder we loved Eddie Guerrero so much. It was as real as it got. Know of any other heartwarming world title wins? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can even come follow me on Twitter at SimonMiller316.
Hello everybody, welcome to Kayfabe News, the revolutionary leader in sports entertainment news. Please hit the subscribe button, otherwise I'll block you on Twitter. Tonight's top story. While enjoying an episode of WWE Monday Night Raw on the television in a local bar, wrestling fan Terry Darby was shocked and distraught when a fellow bar-goer revealed that professional wrestling is a fake sport. My whole life, I believed wrestling was a legitimate sporting competition, said Darby, 44, but now I'm not so sure since a random guy at the bar made a snide comment on his way to the bathroom. The clever stranger, who was at the game day sports pub to watch football on a different television, described professional wrestling as, and I quote, a soap opera for men. Absolutely devastated, Darby spent the rest of his evening looking back at his years of watching wrestling, kicking himself for failing to see that it is, according to the guy at the bar, so phony. I mean, look at those punches, they're barely touching each other, said the man loud enough to be heard by everybody else in this establishment. He went on to say that the ring is big like a trampoline. Having established his intellectual superiority over wrestling fans at the bar, the man then spent 4 hours getting drunk, yelling at a screen, while two teams moved an oval ball back and forth on a large lawn. Before accepting this tragic news, Darby attempted to grab another nearby patron and powerbomb him through a table, but was very concerned when he realized unless this individual jumped and hurled their body upwards or assisted him with the move, there was no way that it could possibly be done. And when asked for comment, Terry's family told Kayfabe News that he's currently watching tapes from New Japan to look for even a hint of evidence that this is a ruse, especially because those guys spend most of their time dropping each other on their heads. We shall update you with more when we have it, and if this has affected you in any way, remember, you can always go get in touch with somebody that's not us. We certainly do not want to hear from you, and I repeat, do not come to the studio. Do not come to the studio. We're not here to help. With that said, please do help us by liking the video, sharing the video, and subscribing to the channel. If you want to leave a comment below saying how mad you are that you got duped by another video from us, please be our guest. My name is Flipping Marks, and I will talk to you again soon against my better judgment.